Next up, we have a presentation by Sергey Bушуев, the interaction of dolphins with trawl fishing vessels in the northwestern Black Sea. Hello, colleagues. Here are my slides. Interaction of dolphins with trawl fishing vessels in the northwestern Black Sea. Fishing for sprats with trawling began in the Black Sea over 50 years ago. The key region has traditionally been the northwestern Black Sea. Maximum catch in the 80s was as high as 75,000 tons. In the knots, it was from 20 to 40,000 per year. Over the last decade, we've seen continuous decline of sprat aggregation, which leads to lower catch. Number of trawl vessels and sprat catch in Ukraine decreased almost tenfold. Massive fishing couldn't but affect Black Sea dolphins, primarily impacting the common dolphins' food supply because they rely on sprats during summertime heavily. Such competition for this supply led to a sort of cooperation between vessels and dolphins who use lost fish during trawling. This type of interaction was described by Bушуев and Устный in 2005 as an academic paper. But after that, sprat supply has decreased, so the interaction has changed as well. We had 2 observers on 2 trawling vessels. The survey was carried out from August 2018 to October 2019, excluding winter times. Observations were done from 1.5 to 10 kilometers from shore, depth from 30 meters. Variable trawling was done near the sea bottom. Trawling was only done during daytime. Visual observations were carried out in 2018, 25 times from August to October, and 127 observations in 2019. Dolphins were observed in 92 cases. Identification was done via photography. Preliminary results show that the same animals can be spotted near trawling vessels within the same day or for periods of several days or even months. Here are the data for the trends and correlation between trawling catch and dolphin sightings in the northwestern Black Sea in 2018 and 2019. During observation, 945 common dolphins were spotted and 68 bottlenose dolphins were spotted. Obviously, there could be some overlap in registrations. Species ratio is presented in the slide. Only 2 species were spotted over the observation period, common and bottlenose dolphins. No harbor purposes were observed. The share of common dolphin was 93%, and 7% were bottlenose dolphins. As compared to 2002 and 2003, the ratio remains more or less the same, with common dolphins going down by 2.8%. As for the groupings, their species composition, out of 92 sightings, we had 70 sightings of common dolphins exclusively, 10 sightings with bottlenose dolphins exclusively, and 9 combined sightings. Overall, we had 839 commons, and there remain about 20 bottlenoses. In August, we have a prevalence of common dolphins. 60% of observations had dolphins registered during trawl pulling. Notably, in 2002 and 2003, such sightings accounted only for 29% of sightings. So, over the last 15 years, the rate of interaction almost doubled. whereas the number of trawling vessels went down tenfold, and the fishing window has declined by 2 months. The amount of catch went down 30% per trawling. It was 0.65 ton in 2002-03, and in the other time period, 2017-2018, it was 0.42. Size of dolphin groups. We had variation from 1 to 50 animals. Common dolphins had 47 groups with 1 to 10 dolphins, 32 groups from 11 to 30 animals, and 3 groups from 31 to 50 animals. Bottlenose dolphins grouped in much smaller aggregations. There were 4 groups from 6 to 7, and the rest was 7 to 10. Common dolphins were most prevalent in September-October 2018 and in May 2019. Average size of common dolphins was 11.5 animals. For bottlenoses, 3.6 animals. In 2018-2019, average size of common dolphins as compared to 2002-2003 has increased to 0.5. For bottlenoses, 1.5 times increase. In August and October, we saw 18 sightings of common dolphins approaching vessels in groups of female and calf. From 1 to 8 pairs were recorded per one observation. They did not come closer than 50 meters to the vessel, but this is definitely first time that calves get exposed to this mode of behavior. One fatality was observed in 2018 and in 2019. It happened in May. 1 dolphin was trawled up. As per the regulation, the carcass was put back into the sea as bycatch. We did surveys of 2 vessel crews in 2017 and 2018 who reported 4 more deaths by common and bottlenose dolphins in trawling. Given the amount of vessels, or 6 vessels that we have in the range, we can estimate a mortality of about 10 animals per year, which wouldn't affect the population negatively too much. Dolphins take different approaches to trawling vessels. Common dolphins take great interest in sporadic aggregation and vessels. For harbor purposes, we see that they try to avoid these situations. Bottlenose dolphins are more or less indifferent. They're neither scared nor attracted. If the vessel stays within one location, it can be approached by one and the same group of dolphins. It's often the case that groups are assigned to individual vessels. If there are several vessels in one region, these groups become unstable and intermix. For example, all dolphins could go towards one vessel which is currently pulling up the trawl. It's a priority for dolphins to be there in time for trawl pulling and loading of the catch, because these are the operations while off-spec fish is discarded. This is usually 15 to 25 minutes. Adults proactively approach the vessel. They go under the vessel and under the trawl. They can even try to penetrate the mesh to get fish. Juveniles and females usually keep some distance. The rate of approaches is directly correlated with the number of trawling operations. As the trawl is dragged underwater, dolphins go away, often going further than the line of sight. Then they reappear when the trawl is pulled up. Evidently, dolphins know the correlation between the stages of trawling and the sounds that they can hear. This has become commonplace in the northwestern Black Sea that dolphins coexist with trawling vessels. Common dolphins and bottlenoses, to some extent, have adapted because this is beneficial for them. We see that the juveniles learn about it from early on. Even though it's dangerous and there are some fatalities, the benefits for dolphins seem to overweight the risks. It's not too much bother for the fishers, except for bycatch, which is rare. As commercial spread fishing has declined and number of vessels went down, the rate of interaction of dolphins, primarily common dolphins, with trawling vessels went up 2 times, and the group sizes went 2 times for common dolphins and went up 1.5 times for bottlenose dolphins. Thank you. Thank you for this interesting presentation. Colleagues, do we have any questions? Unfortunately, I don't see any questions in the chat or raised hands, but we have a comment by Vladimir Burkanov. Great presentation, Sergey. Nice job. I see one raised hand. Dmitry Glazov, please, the floor is yours. Hi, Sergey. Sorry for not switching on my video, but we can see you instead. Nice to meet you again. Always a pleasure. Thank you for the presentation. Might have missed something. My understanding is that you focused on spread fishing. What about other fish? That region doesn't use trolling nets, right? Yes, exactly, only for spread. What about other fishing methods? Do you account for catch volumes? It's the same as was mentioned previously. We see that there is a lot of bycatch of dolphins into nets, especially for common plays, with peaks in late April and early June, where that type of fish is caught a lot. They come near shore, and sometimes there were peaks as high as 22 dolphins, but this was almost 10 years ago. This happens a lot, but the convention is not to report it. Any report of bycatch of dolphin would be a problem for fisheries, so they underreport it. And as for trawling spreads, this seems to be the safest fishing operation for cetaceans. Okay, gotcha. What about registering strandings? We heard about the Crimea. We understand that you still have a monitoring system in place on the shelf or on the shore. What about that? Yes, it is there, it's operational, but it's not our group. It's supported by the Ukrainian Center for Ecology and Sea. It historically has been the case, though, that the rate of strandings was a lot lower than in Crimea. It's been a fact for many years, where you would spot hundreds of strandings in Crimea. For us, this would be a couple of dozen max. Okay, thank you. Thank you, colleagues. I see we have another question by Mr. Burkanov. Hello, Sergey. Thank you for the presentation. So, how do fishers react to this dolphin behavior? Do they try to shoo them away? Do they try to scare them off? No, nothing like that. They are very tolerant towards dolphins. First, dolphins only eat what the fishers don't need, and they don't only wait for trawl pooling. No, there is this stage where the decks are washed, and that's a lot of injured and off-spec fish. That's where they forage. And fishers are happy to give something to the dolphins. They even throw some fish out on purpose. It's really busy under the vessel at that time. Then they pull down another trawl and the dolphins go someplace else. They could be waiting around or spotting another vessel. Well, this could be a problem going forward. Well, they have to do that because it's the procedure to wash the deck. Well, That's always where it happens. Colleagues, unfortunately, we are not going to hear from Mr. Tsudulko, so we have an entire 15 minutes to discuss this at length, or we can circle back to other presentations if you have any questions. I didn't quite catch what you said about other fishing operations. What happens if they spot dolphins, and what's their attitude? It's a risk, it's unwanted bycatch, and as per the regulation, they cannot even touch the dolphins. So even if it's a carcass, they need to throw it back into sea without injuring it. Sometimes you cannot do that. You know, nets are expensive, and well, it's a nuisance for fishers to bycatch dolphins. So again, the attitudes are very different across different fishing operations. I investigated another part of fishing with sea irons. This was problematic, unlike trawling.
Okay, so this information should be included into the proceedings, yes, because maybe if you have accumulated some previous studies materials, yeah, it would be great to use all this. Yes, in 28 or 2010, yes, we were on a boat and they were using nets for flatfish. Yeah, and there was information, you know, per ton of fish, how many animals and so on. Yeah, but all this is quite complicated. Yeah, it requires certain procedures, and both owners of these boats and fishers, they don't welcome such studies and observations very much. Thank you. Thank you. Sergey, please don't leave because we have 2 more questions. Sergey Kornev. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, yes, we can hear you. Yes, very interesting presentation. I would like to learn the following. I am aware that such animals, you know, they have existed for a while. Yeah, they are swimming around commercial fisheries. Okay, and we see already there are several generations of dolphins. Yeah, and these dolphins, they learned from adult animals around them. And we see there's several generations already of such dependent animals. You know, I have been thinking about it. And, you know, especially for this, we've been using photo IDs. But at the first stage, 15 years ago, we didn't have this opportunity to use it. And it was not possible to compare. And also, you know, this interval between the studies is quite long, so it's hard to analyze all this. But if we continue this work, then we'll have more additional information and data. You know, yeah, the dolphins are dependent, but they are not absolutely addicted to it, because right now, the number of such boats has reduced drastically. And actually, the period of trawling is also reduced. Now it is about 6 months. Although, as for spread, you know, it can be throughout the year. But when it is cold, you know, so it's not so convenient, and it's better not to fish in cold times of the year. And for dolphins, you know, the majority of the time, they feed themselves. So for them, this trawling is like, an additional bonus. And during the season, there are periods, so there's a technical maintenance periods and also stormy weather when no ships go fishing. So it's obvious that there are certain groups. Okay, for example, common dolphins, they try not to miss this free feast. And in my work, I described it. So once a boat just left the port of Ilyichovsk, and there was already a group of dolphins waiting for the boat right close to the port. And we were moving to the area of commercial fishing, and they were accompanying us. So probably before us, so there was another boat, and they were waiting for another. But what is interesting that they identify these trolling boats among other ships. Yeah, and they hear specific sounds, and so when they put this troll into the water, they hear it immediately, and they immediately swim there. Yeah, so this behavior of theirs is very interesting. Thank you. So only part of the time, just a certain share of the time when they feed like this. Yes, otherwise they wouldn't survive. Right, sorry, I missed the information. Okay, for how long have you been observing them? Well, in fact, the fishers began speaking about it as a regular phenomenon maybe during the last 20, 25 years. And as for spread, fishing at the beginning of the 2000s, the situation was different. Yeah, so there were all these herds, and now this is different. And this is due to climate change and environmental changes. And this led to other changes. So, for example, 15 years ago, when we had a similar survey, and these common dolphins, in 29 or 30% of the cases, they were accompanying us, and now it has doubled. So this is quite significant, but there are fewer boats and there's less fish in the water. Thank you very much. Very interesting. I wish you success in this work. Thank you. Right, there's one more question from Anastasia Kunitsa. Anastasia, the floor is yours. Hello, can you hear me? Sergey, could you please tell me, you said that fishers come across, some problems, when these animals are in their nets. What is that? Is it a penalty? Is it some fine? Well, in Russia and Ukraine, the situation is similar. If in bycatch, or if they intentionally caught something, then a penalty is quite high. And also, this equipment can be confiscated, or the harvest can be confiscated. If it is unintentional, there's also a procedure when they have to change the area of commercial fishing. Yeah, so there are problems. And as for nets for flatfish, so there are kilometers of them. So this is quite problematic. That is why these fishers, fishermen, they don't want to inform. And their position is, oh no, never, we have never found these animals in our nets, although we all know that the rules prescribe that all this should be registered and environmental inspection should be informed. But they prefer not to do it. That is why they don't like these researchers, yeah, because they register everything. Right, and I know that these fishermen, they are very rarely penalized. Yeah, because yeah, everybody sort of keeps saying, no, we have never seen it, it has never happened, and so on, because they prefer not to, write some explanations because they have to report it, and and the inspections, they are not interested either, yeah, because then it means that this commercial fishing damages the environment. Thank you for this interesting discussion. There are no questions from the audience. I would like to ask one. Can you please tell us, what about modern tools and instruments? Can we use them for this? For example, when there's a log of a troll raising, okay, when there are specific coordinates and all the information, and there can be a video camera, yeah, and it might fix, okay, when this troll net is opened, yeah, it can be videotaped, yeah. So, and then this recording can be submitted. Okay, so if we speak not about the whole video recording of the whole process, but okay, it is just 20 minutes. Okay, how many times do they raise this troll? So, well, maybe not more than 50 times. So then it will mean not much. So maybe this idea can be discussed at the national level. Okay, and then if there's a lack of recording, okay, then it might involve a penalty, or if there's a break, yeah, in the middle. Okay, as for trolling, it is the safest for dolphins, and maybe during a year, maybe one animal gets caught. So in comparison with flatfish nets, yeah, this is quite safe, and it has been used a lot on these trolling boats. They all have, sensors, and I mean the coordinates are easily identified. There are cameras, yeah. So, and when this troll net is taken on board, yeah, it is videotaped. But there's not enough specialists to watch all this. So sprat trolling, it's quite selective. Okay, so we can say that about 90%, yeah, it's only this species of fish. There's nothing else. There's no bycatch. And dolphins, get caught only if they are not careful enough. So as for these videos, yeah, so it should be done. Yeah, so there's fishing inspection organizations, but they don't do it. Yeah, because it is so boring. Okay, and if one recording is missing, nobody will notice it. And okay, so if after one fishing period, okay, nobody checked the videos, then they are not kept, they are not stored, right? As for trolling boats, I don't see any reason to, make it stricter, and it's not necessary to have new requirements. But as for flatfish nets, so there are illegal boats as well. I'm sure that in Russia it is the same. So there are like illegally installed nets, and there's about 80% of them, by the way. Thank you very much.